We are here waiting for everyone to join the Community Advisors Improvement Challenge team. Today in Challenge Fest, March 5th, 2022. And just here waiting for people to join. So it's been a couple of minutes. I'm gonna pause the recording and I'll restart it as soon as someone joins. Yeah, so I'm restarting the recording. It's been 5 more minutes. No one's joined, so I'm gonna keep on waiting here in the room, see if anyone joins. Oh, there's someone. Hey, Nana, welcome. Hello? Your microphone is muted. Can't hear you.
Yeah, Jose, this is Richmond. I think Nana Safo is trying to use my PC to view his, I don't know, like do the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Hey.
yeah, I'm actually helping him out because his machine is not working properly. So I'm
Sure, no problem. Welcome here. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
So it seems
Thank
for
you.
now it's only us. So what proposal are you moving now? Sorry, I didn't get your name. What's your name?
Yeah, this Richmond. I'm part of
the
the
Richmond. Sorry, I didn't know who
yes.
you were. Yeah, hi. Richmond. So Richmond, since we're recording, Richmond is part of the challenge team. So he's here to support the session, but no one's joined so far. So it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
It's great to have this background. I've used it a lot. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
Sure. Yeah,
everyone keeps asking, hey, where do you get that?
It's true. You know, there's something that will keep the team going. Like anywhere you go, you show it up, and yeah. It represents
actually I'm co-proposing on another challenge and for the video and media.
Okay. Sure.
We're doing some explainer videos and animation. So the educational videos.
Okay.
And actually, one of the feedbacks that we've been getting is to actually build this whole image package, you know, for community advisors, for challenge teams, for the animations, for the idea scale banner in the challenge teams, and so forth. So we might add that into the proposal, maybe.
Sure, then that would be great. So yes. Is that something that you are taking as a whole proposal, or
as a co-proposer? There's this media company that works in doing explainer videos. They have very high quality videos, and they asked me if I would co-propose with them, so to be able to build the content. Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm also putting in a proposal.
Great.
In
what is it about?
Grow Africa, Grow Academy. Yeah. So it's about creating billboards, right?
All right.
Spread of Africa. So it will be like, but we are starting from Ghana and then we spread across Africa for now. So we'll be creating billboards because this time around, I think IOG, the team of IOG will be coming to Ghana to have an education
Yeah.
to yeah. So I think that would be a best ground for us to also put out information that this is what's happening in the ecosystem, and there are a lot of things that Africans don't know. Like let's say Cardano blockchain itself, they don't know about it. So
Mhm.
that's a platform for us to also put out stuff like that on billboards. And also we have animations that we'll be doing. We're putting them on social media, so YouTube and all that. So yeah,
Uh, Yeah, great, awesome, awesome.
that's the proposal.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea to raise awareness there, especially using that opportunity of someone visiting. Hi, Tommy, welcome.
Yeah, hi. I've been
Yeah, thanks.
hopping from one room to another.
Yeah, so here it's been
welcome.
it's been a bit empty here. So it's just Richmond and I. You might remember Rich. His name under Nana Safo's name, but it's Richmond who's part of the challenge team.
Okay.
So
So you're just talking to
yeah,
each other.
yeah, we're just making time here.
Yeah, we are just talking.
All right. I actually wanted to talk about something. First of all, like, how do you see what is the current situation like? Do you have good proposals, and do you think they will take the whole budget?
Actually, we do have some proposals there. We have 18. Some of them are still placeholders. I don't know if you've read, if you've taken a look at an idea scale, but most of the conversation has been going on off idea scale. So mostly on the chat, you've been very active. You've seen those, and on those calls that we've had. So we had that, and we had one. I think it was Wednesday, right? And there's a couple of calls going on next week to be big. So what I'm seeing is that the budget is not. We don't really know if it's going to be taken all at all, because still the budgets are not defined.
Yeah.
If you add them up, of course it will be taken up, but we don't know what the numbers are going to be. Probably some of them will be consolidating.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I felt like we have been discussing for months and months, like, oh, we need to change this, we need to change this, we need to change this. Then there's like, here's 100,000, go change it, and no one is like, nah, don't feel like it.
But there's a couple of proposals that I think are going to have some traction. So, like for example, Dimitri's putting ahead something, Lucio with Victor and Philip as well. Nadia had something going on. I think it was maybe with yourself. I think take a look. No, with Kenrick. Allison with Kenrick.
I think I'm supposed to propose something with Nadia, but we'll talk about it tomorrow or Monday.
Oh, yeah. So that was off of the idea scale thing. I saw it on the chat. Yeah. But I think the conversation has been moving up forward. I don't know if it's gonna end up with a very mature thing, but it's still something that helps to have the first steps forward. Would be good. Yeah.
And do you think we should put in another proposal for challenge 9? Fund 9 challenge setting.
Yeah, well, we need to fund your beer, right?
I know. I've actually started having whiskey. So,
cheers.
Single malt is more expensive, so
yeah,
I need more. I need more than 100,000.
Yeah, so that is a good question. I think we should put it forward and see how the community receives it. I think that if this gains some traction, naturally it will get voted. I think it's not about the title. I think that the concept would be richer if it's not only like the CA improvement, but more of the
process improvement.
Yeah, one approach is process improvement, and the other approach is like taking care of the CAs, right? So making sure that which is the other part. So taking care of this community, making sure they get the proper training, they get the proper onboarding, and supervising that whole thing
Mm.
could
No,
help.
I think
How do you see that?
I would like to expand that, because what I'm supposed to do, I was waiting for Zoe to join me, but I don't know where she's gone missing. But, we started this redefining the process a few months ago, and she had some really good inputs also. And
With
I wanted to
Nadia,
take
Nadia, you mean?
no Zoe.
Oh, it's so right.
We were supposed to do it together, and then, well, things happen. Anyway, so there in that, we split the assessors from advisors,
Mhm.
so that, because currently, if you look at community advisors, there's like 95% of the people who just participate 2 weeks a quarter and get paid for that, and then rest of the people are volunteering for the rest of the time and not being compensated for that part, which is the advisor role, basically.
Yeah.
And then we have challenge teams, which is a whole another thing. Then we have kind of like mentors, like, I don't know, that's not an official role yet, but it's been there for a while.
Mhm.
So maybe like expand it to not just CAs, but have whatever, challenge teams, advisors, mentors, assessors, VCAs, quality control. So like have
No.
all of those roles in the same challenge, then it might make sense.
Yeah, because it's more about, but that's the other thing. Oh, I mean, it makes sense. I agree that it would be great to have a more holistic approach to the improvements, and have the community work on that. I enjoyed having Daniel so engaged with this discussion, because I feel that what eventually gets proposed would have some traction, but if formally we don't, I mean, you could get voted and funded but still get no traction from IoT, right? So the changes won't be implemented. I mean, they don't have to listen to other proposals. So I think it's more of a way to formalize the community's voice, right?
Yeah. Well, the challenge 8 goal, one of them is to make it an open source project or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of trying to pull people and ideas together and connect people and try to have like this holistic approach where we can move forward in a more strategic way, because now it's just all over the place.
Yeah, that's the thing with open source and with radical inclusion, that getting a sense of common purpose is a bit tricky. But on the other side, this mess will eventually get more innovation going. But moving forward on the way things work is crucial for that. So that's why I like this challenge so much, because I do see that there's a lot of room for improvement, especially if we scale. Getting enough people, if we're going to be duplicating the funds every 3 months, I don't know, it has to have a ceiling. I don't see that going on forever. But still, if we duplicate for 2 or 3 more rounds, we're not going to have funds that are really attractive, and we're going to have a volume of proposals and of people interested that requires a prepared team. So the way I see it, these funds right now, this rounds should be focusing exactly on developing a team and a large number of people who are prepared to deal with that. And I don't see it. I don't know if there's any statistics. Do you know about how many CAs actually repeat after being CAs?
No idea. Because even like, I was surprised that like a year ago, there was like 1,000 people who registered to be a CA. 1,000. and I don't think most of them were active. They just didn't do anything, or some of them might have just rated like one proposal.
The thing is that when you register for a CA, it's more like a manifestation of interest than an actual registration. You just say, okay, I'll be willing to hear about it, and then you get an email. You're a CA. Go move. So some people will actually take and move it from there, but some won't.
I kind of liked Marek's suggestion that just make it more complicated.
I think that would be, and also, I mean, one of the crucial aspects is having the reputation system, and having maybe one more level, right? So that if you're a CA, a new CA, like a junior CA, or a first timer, however you want to call it, you can only assess proposals of up to a certain amount, and $50,000 or something like that. That still is relevant money, but you won't be able to assess like $200 assessments. So that will be left for people who have already done it.
That's interesting idea. Yeah.
And then,
definitely.
and so that way you can have a learning curve before you have a real impact. And then the other side is that the proposals being the assessments having more weight depending on the reputation of who wrote it. Not a huge difference, but a slight difference, so that maybe they will be read first by the voters. If you have 10 assessments, the better rated, the best rated assessments, the best reputed CAs get their proposals read first, for example. That could
yeah, that sounds complicated.
it is, of course.
I'm trying to keep things simple. So is there any realistic proposals for this reputation system, or?
There's one. I don't know how serious it is, but there's one. Let me share the screen. My screen.
And
Here.
does it incorporate identity?
Can you see it? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
So this one here, third one. It's a dancing CA reputation.
Okay, so Phil and Aharon.
Yeah. So they might still have a placeholder, so there's nothing there, but eventually that might come as a, I mean, because it's them, maybe they'll come up with something.
Okay, I'll talk with Phil because there is a possibility of getting identity easier than what Atala Prism is all about.
How would that be?
Sorry?
How do you think it would be? What's the other option?
I'm in talks of one cross-chain provider of
Okay.
identity. So
Great.
maybe that.
Yeah.
Because you cannot have a reputation system without identities. Cool.
Yes. So that's what's going on.
All right. Thank you for your insights, and I'm sorry if I barged into your conversation.
No, we were just making time. That's fine. That's great.
Okay.
Great talking to you, Tommy.
All right. I'll jump into another room and try to catch them all.
All right. See you then. Bye.
See you.
Oh, it's us now.
Yeah, it's only us for now. Tommy just stopped by to see how it was going, since he was actually the one who proposed this challenge in the first place. We remember he was in the challenge team at first.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we'll keep it this room open for maybe 5 more minutes, if, and see if everyone joins. And if not, we'll just cut it short and move somewhere else to make ourselves useful. So if you want to move now, that's fine with me. If not, I'll greatly enjoy your conversation.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I've put in proposal and I'm trying to get funding. So that's why I do, you know, the graphic design. So that's
You mentioned there someday that we were talking. You mentioned that you were part of a previous proposal, right? With the what?
that was yes, that was I don't know care.
Okay.
Recycling.
That's
plastic
good.
waste. So we are going to be let's say the mediator between the company, the recycling company, and households, whereby you will come to our platform. So the platform is connected to the Cardano ecosystem, whereby transactions will be recorded, and then identity are being kept on. That's how it runs. So the platform will be hosting the companies as well as the people who will be buying. So let's say the household have the waste material, whereby they will call the company through our platform, and they will come for it, and then the company will pay them.
Richmond, sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding because you're breaking up a little.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Much better, yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, so we are going to be a mediator between the company and then the households, whereby they have waste and then they want to sell to a company. They will come to our platform and they'll search for a company who is ready to buy the waste material, and then they will contact them. At the end of the day, the company will then pay them through an incentives, either by fiat or Cardano, the ADA token. Yeah,
All
so
right.
that's how that one was supposed to work. But we didn't get funding for that one, and we are trying to put it in again. Yeah.
Okay.
And with yours, the one that you are co-proposing at the film, is that something that we can work with? Because I think that one will also be like designing stuff. Right?
I didn't get that last question. You're breaking up a little. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Hi, Ush. I'm fine. I'm done with my presentation under my challenge, the scale-up community.
Oh,
okay.
That was like, let me rush to my other group to
oh, great, cool. Welcome.
No one is there.
There's no one here. It's just us.
I had 3 people over there, which I discussed. I did a presentation on what the challenge is all about, what we'll be expecting from the proposals, and then what they should also put in, because now the CAs are going to look forth on, like, they're going to assess their proposals based on the challenge category, like what the challenge is all about, the metrics of the challenge. So when you are writing your proposal, you have to make reference to the challenge itself that your proposal is going to be under it. Yes, so it was a very effective meeting I had with them.
Okay. Cool. Welcome, Thorsten. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm just hopping around because I'm a little deserted, as you can see. Both of the challenges kind of didn't find a room, so kind of like I'm just hopping between different rooms.
Yeah, we're pretty much doing the same thing. So the room has been empty just until 1 minute ago, where Daniel and yourself just showed up. Daniel is part of the challenge team, and Nana is not Nana, is Richmond, who's also part of the challenge team. So Tommy was here a little earlier.
Yeah, Tommy left and went to the one which I just left, so kind of weird.
Yeah, he's jumping on
kind
all of
of
them.
and I mean, I was in Melanie's room, and that was becoming a bit too heavy for me on a Saturday afternoon. I thought, whoa, perhaps I have to kind of go somewhere else.
Okay. So
So yeah, it's an interesting topic in itself. I mean,
this one, yeah. I thought we were gonna have a little more people joining here, but since most of the actual interested people are already CAs and people who are experts on this, so maybe this kind of format wasn't that interesting for most of them. But I saw you being part of the conversation Wednesday, and maybe I think you might be registered for calls that are going to be going on during the next week about how to improve the assessment process. And Nadia has been leading and trying to coordinate what all that's been going on from different fronts. There's 18 proposals, or really 18 placeholders. There's not much clarity so far in which topics are going to actually get some traction. There's some talk about the CA reputation system, which has been getting a lot of attention in conversations, as you might be aware. Something about the tools, the CA tools and the VCA tools that Lucio and Victor and Philip have been working on. Something about marketing and a conversation about the voting, but most of the conversation is now been going on within the challenge team and within the Idea Scale platform, but mostly on the Telegram and the Discord now.
I'm a bit split at the moment with the CA topic in itself. There are because I think IOG kind of for it, the deals kind of rolled a little bit of a and put a little bit of an elephant in the room and then left the room.
Yeah.
So no one really knows what actually is going on at the moment. Well, kind of, but they're not really. There are viewpoints on that one, and I mean, what we probably have to understand is that on the IOG side, Catalyst is just one way they look effectively at the ecosystem. There is another side to it. And when you take that one into consideration, things kind of become a little bit clearer, because that is more the business world side, and how do we bring those ones effectively in? And in that context, it makes by a sudden a little bit more sense, but it kind of hits a little bit the CA community with a question mark. I don't know what you're thinking around DRAPs and how that is going to play along with CAs and VCAs. I read some threads which say, will they replace that? I cannot necessarily see that, because that was not the message. But the whole, how are the different actors are acting together is kind of like still a little bit in the air, and that's probably part of an experiment in itself. Everyone has to kind of find.
Yeah, I'm still intrigued by what the roadblock that they hit was. You know, Daniel mentioned that the whole DRAP launch was hit a roadblock, and he's mentioned that the paper actually was on the same roadblock. So I don't know what happened. That's still a mystery to me. But I don't think that the DREPs and the CAs are going to be one replacing the other. So I see them as different roles.
Yeah, the point. Let me perhaps unfold my thinking, and then you can comment on that one. So the purpose of a community advisor is actually to look at the different proposals and do an assessment against the criteria catalog to help the community understand what they should recommendedly vote for. Let me put it very carefully. Yeah? At the end of the day, it's a community's choice, but the point is kind of like I try to bring a little bit layer of quality in.
Yep.
Just shaking effectively the apple tree a little bit, and the apples which smaller kind of shouldn't hang on there anymore, falling down.
Right.
So DRAPs in itself will probably not give a toss, because they will be experts in a certain area and they will bypass this whole system because they have the voting power. So then the question at a certain moment in time is, so who is actually the recipient of a CA work at the end of the day? So if a DRAP says, it's not me, I kind of think, do your thing, guys.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
but yeah, so then the question in itself, and that's the unanswered question itself is how many people will actually then take the route of punking through? I mean, we have now around 1,000 proposals in the pipe and still 2 weeks to go.
Yeah.
But something will be shaken out of that. So the point at that moment in time is kind of like, are we putting a lot of rubber on the street, but not making really much progress because we are overtaken effectively by a Formula One car? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. I see your point. I haven't seen it before that way.
And I don't know, and I don't know whether that is what was intended or not. It looks a little bit at the moment like IOG is making a few changes at the moment. I heard about a change also to the stake pool parameters.
Yep.
And there is a big hoo-ha on that side. And you look at all of that and say, guys, are you a little bit in panic? And why are you? Yeah. So what's the driver behind all of this? So yeah.
Yeah, I think that the whole experiment is a bit on the air now. And IOG, I think, has less clarity than we think they do, because they seem to be like having false starts on a few fronts. Still, that's part of the learning curve, right? No one really knows how to do this.
And at the end of the day, this is what is on the tin. Yeah, it's an experiment, helps them kind of deliver Voltaire.
Yeah, that's right.
But the question is Catalyst Voltaire? Probably not.
Well, I hope it would become Voltaire, because I think Catalyst is more about creating the community and and having a group of people with some level of experience to be able to manage the actual system. So that's what the way I see it. That's more of the purpose.
Yeah.
And then when Voltaire comes, well, you'll have a distributed community, which that I believe that's been growing in a healthy way, with some level of experience, and you've been trying things out and seeing what works and what doesn't. But I think, I mean, that's what would make sense, not the actual platform or catalysts, but the community be populating that new platform that they build. And then Daniel's been mentioning a few times that they are building a portal with all inclusive, like all things catalysts.
Yeah,
which would be good.
See, the point is, IOG at the moment is just too slow, and they don't have enough resources to catch up. That's my point of view at the moment, and I don't want to be unfair to them. They did get it off the ground, but now the community actually is eating them for lunch. Yeah, because we're faster. We're a lot faster.
Yeah, and we're more.
And we're more. Yeah, kind of like, really, guys, you're not going to win this. And I think they know that, but they're still holding on to a few things, which on the one hand side probably makes sense because the community is perhaps not ready, but it feels a little bit, and I'm not that long effectively kind of looking at it, but it feels a little bit like we're still forced to play with the same play rules while people already recognize that the rules have to change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
There is no, and there at the moment, the missing mechanism on my side, I'm coming from a corporate world, is you have to have a governance layer. In the corporate
You
world,
have to, sorry, you have to?
you have to have a governance layer. You have to have someone who says, that's the way we're going to go.
Yeah.
And it is a community in itself, but the community in itself is not, and that's the challenge. They have different perspectives and interests at the moment. While in general, kind of helping the catalyst as such is a common.
I agree, and
element.
I also come from a corporate world, and of course two completely different works of working, and the approaches are different, but still that sense of direction is required. It might be community built, but
Yes,
it will
that
filter
layer
what
is missing, because that layer at the moment is with the
Community building.
governor, and the governor is IOG, and IOG seems to be kind of overwhelmed with
I agree.
the amount of people which kind of fitting them now. Yeah?
And we face the risk of actually losing the momentum and the enthusiasm of the community. If things don't happen quick enough, people will just move elsewhere. There's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of good communities out there. Cardano's great. I love it. That's why I'm here. But people won't wait forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that needs to happen sooner rather than later. And I think this challenge is exactly about that. It's about people, the engaged community.
The point is, the point, and the point is now, the point there is it's probably kind of too narrow framed, out of the past. Not saying it is wrong, but the question is challenge. But I think there is so much going on at the moment which fundamentally would kind of shake the tree as such. That the time is kind of like even 3 months is probably kind of a too long period of time for the discussions which are happening at the moment. Yeah. So, and I don't even know whether this discussions in itself kind of lead in the same direction, or whether they just kind of like lead to different direction in which people will go.
And the staff in IOG is overwhelmed. I mean, they're working insane hours, and they're doing a great job. It's just that it's not that many of them.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the things that could, and we were talking about this in some, maybe when we launched the Fund 8, we were talking with Nadia about what kind of proposals could come up on this challenge. And maybe one concept would be just providing hands, providing hands. Who's interested? What are the priorities? What do you need to work in? And maybe those people are interested, and there's funding for that. That could be some way of helping. Of course, that would be on top of helping with the guidance, right?
But then you have to let go. Yeah. So I mean, self-organized teams means they have to be able to self-organize, and you have to take hands off. And we're in the middle kind of you can do what you want to do, but at the end of the day.
But it's a process, right? It's a process. I mean, it's not about just letting. I'll do it out here and doing nothing and the next day.
The interesting one at the moment is kind of like there is a lot of pressure building at the moment, and that's what I sense. Yeah, and there is also a challenge in its own rights and means, because if you talk about community advisor improvements, well, we are standing at a little bit above 1,000 registered proposals, so lots of placeholders still. I assume we will probably see another 500 until the end, for some people, well, yeah, might be a bit optimistic, but
Yeah.
If we are stalling where we are right now, we doubled the funds, but we didn't increase the amount of the proposals, which actually means kind of the pie gets bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the last fund already had the challenge of you had to kind of think through roughly 1,000 proposals as a CA in a week. So I looked at that and said, no, I'm not going to waste my time on this. Of course, it's kind of like
It's too much. It's too much.
too much.
And that's somewhere it's some other way in which it's not viable to replace CAs for DREPs. I mean, DREPs are going to be just 150.
But the point I see, and I
But
don't
that-
want to. The point is, and I said that before, I think we have to start thinking about shifting left, which means, why do you have to start looking into stuff? And I'm not saying everything, but start looking into everything in a very short time frame at the end of a certain phase. Yeah. You could fractionalize the proposals with certain elements and say, this element is okay. Someone has looked at it and said, I think this is okay. So you could stretch the work out a lot more. And instead of having a week, you have 4 or 5 weeks to do this stuff.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So spreading like the work on several weeks would be done. I mean, how do you see it? Like by topics, like by challenges, or just open, just 5 weeks for everything?
Well, there are different ways to do it. I mean, I could think of 2 or 3 different ways, but that would mean we would have to have a governance approach to fundamentally change the way these challenges are run. At the moment, it's pretty much waterfall, very sequential. Yeah. That way of working comes a little bit from agile, but even within the agile environment, at the lower working layer, you have that. Yeah, you have a backlog and you have effectively kind of your sprint. And during your sprint, you do your stuff, you have the deliverables, you deliver against it.
Yeah.
But what also the agile world quickly recognized is like you have to kind of then you put at least 2 additional layers in to make it work, which is you have to kind of like bring the individual sprints together on a next higher level, and then bring that into a portfolio. And the portfolio in itself is very much driven by direction. And we're trying to do everything at the moment on the lowest level. Yeah, setting the challenges is the same mechanism as kind of looking at proposals. And then at the end of the day, it's running through the same mill of the wider community of people who have to vote on something which they can read, but let's face it, no one is going to read 1,000 proposals who hasn't been involved before. So if you hit someone cold, they look at that and say, first of all, the application sucks. Sorry if I say that, but it's not the greatest thing. And secondly, this is just information overload. It's like, oh, can you curate, please, the first 150 pages of Google? Yeah, and you are kind of put a search term in. Let's face it, after the 5th entry, you say, that's not what I wanted to see, and you look for something else. So the stickiness effectively of this voting process, I don't have any insights on that one, but I don't think that it's very long. So what I'm trying to say is community advisors is that the way we're working at the moment is that actually kind of really creating the impact which we all believe it should. And is the effort we are putting in actually worth the outcome on the voter side? You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah? I follow you. I follow your idea. Hey, Koe, welcome.
So, hi there. So my question in itself is, do we have to sequentialize everything like we do at the moment? But to make it not sequential and to have a viable approach to it, there has to be, I mean, there are a few elements in there where I say, I understand them, but I don't like them. they might work, but they might not work. If someone continuously is working on something, he wants to continuously see a remediation of the effort. Yeah,
Of course.
like if I continuously kind of put quality in and put input in and say this is you, and it's the point itself, it's almost like a judgment at the end of some work. It's almost like writing a paper or a thesis, and at the end of the day the prof says, oh, you missed the point here. Yeah, that's not the way it should work. It should be more iterative, it should have shorter cycles, it should be more agile, also from the feedback, from a quality perspective, which we're trying to bring in for the community. And therefore, I don't know whether we solve that with tools or whether we have to break the system as such, in a sense that we say we do it totally different. Like proposals in itself are not following the strict approach. It's more kind of like an ongoing process, kind of, and it might even be iterative. Yeah, kind of like I have an idea. Okay, let's refine the idea. When then kind of you get it. And this is where the DREPs by a sudden would start playing a heavy role. Yeah,
Mhm.
let's face it.
So
There will be a lot. There will be lobbying. There will be lobbying. There will be lobbying. Believe me. Yeah, there will be lobbying.
Of course.
Because the DREP represents voting power. There will be lobbying. And the point then is, what is the impact coming out of that? And how do you counteract that? So the only way you can counteract that is if you increase the quality of the proposals to a level that voting in itself is more sequentializing effectively things rather than kind of deciding whether yes or no. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
So
Yeah.
like,
I'm not saying every idea is good.
yeah.
So
So
what I'm saying,
there's a whole packet in what you're saying. So there's a lot of fronts. If I'm getting, I mean, there's so many things new. So one is the governance layer, right? What two, the actual purpose of the CA. So it's not only providing value to the voter, but also to the proposers, and that
and
it's very concentrated on just 1 week. So it's more being able to spread that over time. It's another thing.
We have to spread. To be honest, I find that kind of being invited to Mission Impossible and getting paid badly for it. And I say, no way, guys. Yeah, this is I mean, I'm not full-time doing this. So you do it effectively in the time you have or you want to spend at that moment in time.
That's another challenge. Being able to attract people who would do this for a living and full time.
Yeah, but the point is, I see that in you see this iterative process. Some people might have a brilliant idea, but it's just not yet ripe because they haven't had put enough. They had the idea, but they didn't put the sweat in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what also happens is people have the brilliant idea. They put the sweat in to write a real good summary of it, but it's actually not executable. So and then they get voted for it, so they get money handed into their hands, and then when they kind of start hitting the hard stuff, they fold and say it's not implementable. And that might be smart people. I've been talking to a few people, and I said I have been funded in that round. I couldn't implement it because of this or that. So there are roadblocks, and these roadblocks are not removed by the wider community at that moment in time. And they haven't been foreseen by the CA community either, because you could now say, and that's very harsh, how can it be that a proposal in itself gets so far just to recognize that it's either underfunded or it's not executable technically, or there are political forces working against it. where did the CA community fail on that one? I don't want to, yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Kind of like it went through, it got voted. You could say, well, it's effectively a failure of the voting community to sort that out. And I'm getting to a point where I say, well, this is then actually a strong case for a DRAP. Yeah, because
Totally, of course.
totally, because in that case,
any more expert vote.
You have to dig deeper. Yeah, I mean, you have to dig deeper. If I give you my vote, you
And
have to dig
understanding the nuances of the ecosystem.
exactly. So what we are seeing is it's more like a system which in itself kind of works, but we are getting to a point where you have to start asking yourself, is it still fit for purpose with the intention which is behind the growth? So is it fit for funding round 10, 11, 12?
That is the key. Because I think it has been successful in building interest, building participation, enthusiasm from a large number of people, but keeping them enthusiastic and engaged and keeping the community growing might need something else around what you're saying. And we need to start to show results, because up to now there's few projects that we have out there to show. It's not that many. So the projects that have been funded and successfully implemented, there are not that many yet.
Yeah. So there are elements in it, and the community advisor is just one element on that one. They're trying to fix now the reporting bit with the challenge teams, which is kind of, I'm a challenge team member in 3 challenge teams, 2 in this funding round and 1 from 7. And it's kind of like, there are more question marks than answers at the moment. Yeah, what the heck? It's you die already hard on the block even to get connected to the people who got funded. Yeah, this is what we are struggling with at the moment. Not even to say like, and how do we get a reporting to the community to a level where the community actually can do something with? Of course, there is nothing, literally. Yeah, kind of. Someone reports something, I'm still alive and everything's fine, in a nutshell. And he just does it every 4 weeks. Okay, and then you try to figure out, is what is delivered actually meeting the intent? How do you measure that intent? Is the timeline really feasible? And then when you look at the financials, you should say, I should buy a gun. I wouldn't even be able to pay for the bullet because it's not enough money you're making with that. Yeah. So from that perspective, and community advisors are just one element, just one other element in this. DRAPs coming now in kind of as an overflyer on that one. There are for sure other elements which still are missing in the cake to make it work, yeah, to make it rise. So I don't know whether optimizing on one side is it's for sure necessary, because we are running with a system which we're running at the moment with. But at which moment in time do you have to break it and say, now we have to do it different, just to be able to grow? Yeah. Of course, if we continue to do the way we do it, we will not achieve what we are intended.
Yeah, I agree. Felix announced about 18 minutes ago that they were gonna cut us and bring us back to, oh, there it is. We'll close in 8 minutes. So we have 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
To
So
keep
I've been
it going.
talking a lot. Perhaps kind of I shut up now and
well, welcome Emilia. And maybe Kawe, would you want to comment something about the challenge, or are you proposing, or you have any thoughts about what Thorsten was talking about?
Jose, you have
Yeah,
I joined
hi.
just to listen to you guys and get some of your insights. I'm not proposing. I'm just curious.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Emilia.
Hi, Emilia.
Yeah. I was with the Grow Africa Grow Garden team. I'm a member of it. I'm with WADA, and I'm also a proposer. I put in the financial challenge.
Emilia, you're breaking up a little bit.
That's NGO out. Hello.
Hi, you're breaking up a
Hello?
little bit. We're having a little bit
Yeah.
trouble following.
Then I'll put it in the chat. Oh.
Sure, great. We'll look at the chat.
Hello?
Yeah, I understood that. I'm hearing you better now. Maybe you want to give it a try again.
Okay, all right. I'm with WADA Ghana.
Much better.
And I'm also a member of the Grow Africa Grow Cardano Challenge team. So that's where I was before coming here. And I've also put in a proposal in the F9 challenge setting. That's the NGO outreach and integration. Yeah. So when you look at it, you see that it's about getting NGOs involved in Cardano and making development in developing nations more effective, and also getting more people on board. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, great. Thanks for that introduction, Emilia. Great having you here. We're having a conversation and in this challenge, and it's all about how can we improve the whole assessment process,
Okay.
and the community advisor role within
And
Catalyst.
I'm also a CA as well.
Well,
I'm a CA. I
we'd
was
love-
in Fund 6, and I was CA and VCA in Fund 7. And
Awesome.
this Fund 8 too, I will do assessments. Yeah.
Seems to me like you've being in most roles within Catalyst, so you definitely have a lot of experience. Would love to hear your thoughts on the assessment process.
Yeah, what I would say is we can do good assessments. I did a lot of good assessments because I earned good money. So I think what I did was good because I was reading each proposal in detail, not just running through and just ticking. No, I was reading everything in detail and made notes of that before assessing. So when you do that, you do a good assessment. And I took it like as if it's my money that I'm going to dish out. So I have to really go into it and make sure that I do a good assessment for the voters to vote the right proposals for funding. So I think that's the advice I'll give, that we should take it serious and do good assessments. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for that. And what do you think could be a good way to prepare CAs to do a better job in your experience?
I think each person that is coming on board, or if you're already in it, we have to read the CA guidelines very well. There might be slight changes, so we read it very well and go according to that and have time for it. And also not think that I'm just doing this for money, so I have to just take and go on. You have to sit down and do a good job. And even if you do a few, you see that you've done a great job, and that will help you to become better. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Emilia. John, welcome. We have a little bit under 2 minutes to wrap it up. So I don't know if any of you have any final thoughts that you want to share with the group, and then we'll go back to the main room. That's okay. Okay. Absolute silence. Yeah, so so for those of you who just got here, just going to try to wrap it up. We had a conversation about this challenge should be about how to improve not only the community advisor readiness and onboarding, but also the whole assessment process and the whole, and not only for community advisors, but for the whole, for all the team, for all the roles within Catalyst, and the architecture of the actual process of funding and providing insight to proposers and moving and helping them to move forward was under the conversation. Anytime now we'll have to back to the main room, so I'll cut it short. And Thorsten, I don't know if I thought you unmuted yourself, so if you want to say something, now's the time.
I'm good. I'm fine. Just thank you.
All right. So nice talking to you today. I'll see you back in the main room then. Just in time. Okay.